Good morning and welcome to the Pressure Technologies PLC investor presentation. Throughout this recorded presentation, investors will be in listen-only mode. Questions are encouraged and they can be submitted at any time using the Q&A tab situated on the right-hand corner of your screen. Simply type in your questions and press send. The company may not be in a position to answer every question it receives during the meeting itself. However, the company can review all questions submitted today and publish responses when it is appropriate to do so. Before we begin, I would like to submit the following poll, and I would now like to hand you over to CEO Chris Walters. Good morning to you.
Thank you, Alex, and good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us online for the presentation of our 2024 full year results, including an update on our strategy, our outlook for the business in key markets. I'm Chris Walters, Chief Executive, and I'm joined by my colleagues, Sally Millen and Chris Webster, Chief Operating Officer. Before we begin, I'm required to refer you to our updated disclaimer and note that the presentation includes forward-looking statements based on current expectations that are subject to risks and uncertainties. Firstly, I'd like to set the scene. 2025 will be a transformative year for the business, and we're already making good progress. The sale of our Precision Machine Components division to Raghu Vamsi Machine Tools last October was a key strategic milestone. Proceeds from the sale enabled the repayment of term loan facilities and strengthened our balance sheet. The divestment also removes our long-standing exposure to cyclical oil and gas markets and has refocused the group on the development and growth of Chesterfield Special Cylinders. In 2025, we expect significant revenue growth over 2024, albeit from lower margin hydrogen contracts weighted towards the second half of the year, and we expect to return to adjusted EBITDA profitability for the full year after central costs. Just last week, we were delighted to announce the strategically significant contract award to supply the US Navy submarine program. This key milestone highlights our global credentials and opens new overseas defence market opportunities. In the hydrogen market, after several years of frustrating slow progress, key opportunities are finally coming to fruition. UK government subsidised projects are reaching final investment decisions, and we expect our first major orders for large-scale static storage and road trailers in the first and second quarters of 2025. Our expert integrity management lifecycle support services continue to gain momentum, with teams deployed on extensive naval refit programs in the UK, and the outlook remains strong for this high-value, non-capital-intensive business line. So with our strategy now firmly focused on growth in defence and hydrogen markets and from integrity management services, we're looking ahead to 2028 with ambition and, for the first time, clear medium-term financial targets that we will share in the presentation today. And with that strategy firmly in mind, we're also pleased to announce today our intention to rebrand Pressure Technologies PLC as Chesterfield Special Cylinders Holdings PLC, a name and identity that proudly acknowledge our preeminent history and an exciting outlook. So here's an overview of today's presentation. In the first section, we'll focus on our 2024 results and business highlights and a summary of the PMC sale. In the middle section, we'll cover our strategy, the outlook and opportunities in our growth markets, the strategic progress we have made and are making in those markets, and the work we're doing to underpin our operational readiness for growth over the medium term. In the final section, we'll set out our ambition and targets for 2028 and address our outlook for this year. Sally, Chris and I will then be pleased to answer your questions, those submitted in advance and during the presentation. This slide presents, on a pro forma basis, the financial results of the combined continuing operations of CSC and group central functions and the discontinued operations of PMC, enabling a comparison with previous years, including the two trading divisions. Overall revenue was flat at 31.9 million, while trading performance was mixed across PMC and CSC during the year. PMC reported strong financial and operational performance in much improved market conditions as order intake developed consistently throughout the year, supporting the sale process. The reduced revenue and operational activity in CSC were the main drivers of the lower profitability overall, with adjusted EBITDA after central costs of 0.6 million and loss before tax of 2.3 million. I'll cover CSC financial performance in more detail in later slides. Overall operating cash inflow improved to 2 million, driven by the stronger performance in PMC. Year-end net borrowings, which excludes asset finance leases and right-of-use asset leases, stood at 0.9 million, reflecting the loan balance less cash balances of the continuing operations. This is, of course, before the addition of cash proceeds from the PMC sale received just after the year-end. In more detail, the combined P&L shows the split of revenue and EBITDA contributions from the two operating divisions. PMC delivered revenue of 17.1 million, an increase of more than 50% over FY23 performance as order intake developed strongly from key OEM customers throughout the year. PMC's adjusted EBITDA of 1.5 million was a significant increase and the highest level since 2019, an encouraging performance during the critical recovery period for the oil and gas sector, positioning the business well for further progress under its new ownership by Raghu-Vamsi. Central costs were in line with expectations at 1.7 million, down slightly from 2023. Further steps have been taken to reduce central costs related primarily to the group's public listing to 0.9 million in 2025, and the board remains focused on addressing these costs further. Exceptional costs relate principally to legal and corporate finance advisory fees supporting the sale of PMC and to term loan arrangement fees. In the group balance sheet at the end of 2024, tangible assets reduced from 10.3 million to 6.8 million, reflecting the PMC asset held for sale and depreciation. Net working capital reduced from 5.6 million to 1.8 million, and lease liabilities reduced from 2.4 million to 0.5 million, again reflecting the PMC asset held for sale and an improvement in working capital in CSC. This slide presents financial highlights for the continuing operations of CSC and group central functions only, now excluding PMC discontinued operations and providing a new baseline for the presentation of future financial performance. CSC delivered revenue of 14.8 million, down from 20.7 million in 2023. Performance in CSC was driven by the deferral of UK defence revenues into future years and by operational delays, including unplanned downtime on process critical equipment in the first quarter that impacted delivery of finished products across the first half of the year. Second half performance was impacted by later than expected defence and hydrogen order placement, now already secured or still expected in 2025. Defence revenue in 2024 was 35% lower than 2023, which was the main driver behind a reduction in gross profit to 3.7 million from 7 million in 2023, as CSC passed the peak of activity on high-value UK defence contract milestones. As a result, adjusted EBITDA loss of 0.9 million was significantly behind 2023, and loss before tax was 2.7 million. Operating cash inflow for the standalone CSC Plus Group was 1 million, an improvement on 2023, while net borrowings were 0.9 million, as presented earlier, before proceeds received from the sale of PMC. For completeness, this slide presents the summary P&L for the continuing operations of CSC and group central functions. I'd like to highlight the adjusted EBITDA performance of CSC at 0.8 million, reflecting reduced operational activity in the period and the movement of revenues into 2025. The P&L also highlights the impact of group central costs of 1.7 million, which have been reduced to 0.9 million for 2025. The sale of the PMC division to Raghu-Vamsi Machine Tools completed in October, shortly after year-end. The timing of the sale, during the strongest trading period for the division since 2019, supported an initial enterprise value of 6.2 million and an initial cash consideration of 4.8 million. There is also potential for additional consideration up to 1.5 million based on PMC's 2025 performance. We were pleased to sell the PMC business to a strategic buyer like Raghu-Vamsi, where PMC will complement their engineering businesses with operational and commercial synergies. The strategic divestment allows us to focus on the development and growth of CSC and removes exposure to cyclical oil and gas markets. Proceeds from the sale were used to repay the outstanding term loan balance of £1 million and have strengthened our balance sheet and given working capital headroom to support CSC growth opportunities. So that concludes the slides covering our 2024 results and the sale of PMC. This section of the presentation covers our strategy in key market sectors, the progress we're making, and our readiness to deliver. Our strategy to deliver value for our customers, our shareholders, and other stakeholders is through the development and growth of Chesterfield Special Cylinders in established defence and emerging hydrogen energy markets, and through the growth of integrity management lifecycle support services. In the defence market, we are the trusted supplier of safety-critical pressure systems to navies and defence contractors worldwide, with a proud 125-year history. The market is characterised by high-value contracts with the benefit of long-term programme visibility, but are often subject to delayed order placement and irregular milestone phasing, as we've seen in recent years. As sole supplier to UK submarine and surface ship programmes and long-term partner to major European shipbuilders for their domestic and export submarine projects, we have the advantage of early engagement with engineering and procurement teams to support long-range operational planning. In the hydrogen energy market, our world-leading reputation in safety-critical hydrogen storage reflects our extensive knowledge and experience. Strong UK and European government backing for clean energy provides an exciting opportunity for CSC in the supply and lifecycle support of hydrogen static storage and transportation systems. Our integrity management services are the third and final area of strategic focus, where in situ and factory-based lifecycle support services cover mandatory inspection and testing across defence, hydrogen, and other safety-critical markets. These three areas are the basis of our strategy and of our growth plans. We'll now cover our position and opportunities in the defence market. Here, we illustrate that cylinders manufactured by CSC over several decades are installed on the submarines and surface ships of more than 20 NATO-friendly navies worldwide, delivered through long-term relationships with these well-known defence contractors and shipbuilders. With today's backdrop of geopolitical tensions and increasing global defence budgets, the long-term outlook for naval new-building programmes is strong. CSC's established long-term and sole supplier relationships with navies and prime contractors enables early project engagement and visibility of scope. Current and expected long-term new-build programmes extend beyond 2040, with an estimated 140 million qualified revenue opportunities for CSC in pressure systems supply over the next 15 years. For more insight on the outlook for naval programmes, we'll also be posting a video presentation on our website with Mark Alban of the Society of Maritime Industries and our Director of Naval Programmes, Lee Lawrence. Our next focus area is the emerging hydrogen energy market. In this slide, I'd like to remind you of the role we play in the emerging hydrogen energy market. We have a world-leading reputation and over 100 years' experience in the design, manufacture and lifecycle support of safety-critical high-pressure hydrogen storage systems. Specialising in Type 1 steel cylinders, we're also an experienced integrator of composite Type 3 and Type 4 cylinders into static and transportable solutions. We also provide mandatory periodic retesting and recertification services for hydrogen storage systems throughout their life cycle, through our in-factory processes and in-situ integrity management services. The hydrogen energy market is developing quickly, underpinned by the potential to support decarbonisation in transport, power and industrial applications. The UK government remains fully committed to ambitious decarbonisation targets and sees investment and job creation in the low-carbon economy as a core route to achieving its growth mission. We expect our first major hydrogen storage contract award under the UK Net Zero Hydrogen Fund and the first hydrogen allocation round in the first half of 2025. These long-awaited projects will allow us to showcase our capabilities and position for further growth. With over 20 refuelling stations delivered since 2018, our established position with European operators also presents growth opportunities, and we anticipate orders in the first quarter of 2025. Together, these anticipated orders demonstrate a change of pace in the development of hydrogen infrastructure across the UK and Europe. We're also seeing an increase in demand for hydrogen transportation by road trailer. Factory inspection, retesting and recertification services extend the life of bulk gas storage systems and road trailers. These services have been built on CSE's unrivaled industry knowledge and OEM experience. CSE has decades of experience in mandatory testing and recertification of hydrogen road trailers and delivered a record throughput of 23 units in 2024 for an expanding customer base, including BOC, Air Products, Air Liquide, and several other independent operators. We carry out retesting on all cylinder types to meet demanding safety requirements. While proven Type 1 steel tube trailers undergo mandatory testing every 10 years, composite Type 4 assemblies require more frequent testing at 5-year intervals. Driven by increased demand for hydrogen transportation from approved and planned government-funded projects, we've recently seen a strong ramp-up in inquiries for new-build hydrogen trailers for delivery over the next 2 years, supporting demand for our new Type 1 trailer design. For further insight on the UK and European hydrogen markets and the outlook for government-funded projects, we will post a video presentation later today by Rob Dale from specialist hydrogen consultancy Beyond 2050. I'm now going to cover integrity management services. Our expert integrity management services are a growing part of the business, and we're well positioned as an OEM to capture non-capital intensive repeat revenue throughout the product lifecycle from extensive installed fleets across regulated operating environments. Where safety critical cylinders cannot be removed for periodic maintenance, we deploy our specialist integrity management teams to carry out in situ inspection and testing, minimizing operational disruption and maximizing system availability. Built on our position as sole supplier to UK submarine and surface fleets as an OEM for navies worldwide, we're currently poised to secure our first integrity management contract on European naval vessels. Expanding hydrogen storage capacity over the medium term will drive the demand for in situ mandatory testing and recertification, for which we are well positioned to support existing and new customers. An extensive installed fleet of air pressure vessels on diving support ships, offshore installations and floating cranes presents a steady growth opportunity for in situ retesting over the longer term. So having presented our 3 areas of strategic focus in defence, hydrogen and integrity management, I can now show some of the progress we are making. In defence, we've delivered key project milestones and strengthened relationships with our major UK and French customers. We've been awarded major overseas contracts recently to supply the Royal Australian Navy and the Royal Canadian Navy. And just last week, we were delighted to announce our first order for qualification and supply to the US Naval Submarine Programme. And as a reminder, after several years actively positioning our products and services in the hydrogen market, projects are finally coming to fruition, and we expect contract awards for static storage and road trailers in the first half of 2025. In integrity management, momentum continues in all markets, with major naval deployments having commenced at the start of this year. In the next slide, I'll summarise the work we've done and are doing to ensure our capability and operational readiness to deliver our strategy and growth plans. We've been working through a structured operational improvement programme since Chris joined us as Chief Operating Officer in 2022. The programme has focused on the foundations of solid manufacturing operations, and improvements are now progressing through 2025 towards efficiency and capacity targets for 2028. These improvements will ensure that we can deliver highly specialised, often bespoke systems for defence applications alongside high-volume, more standardised hydrogen product ranges. The improvement programme has three key work streams: improvement of operational flow through our Sheffield factory, the optimisation of process critical equipment for capacity and efficiency, and the development of skills and capabilities of our teams to give the best service to our customers. The programme is comprehensive and involves the whole workforce throughout the production process. Some key points of improvement to highlight are the debottlenecking of our factory, which was an early priority to set clear rules of operation that saw our delivery backlogs reduce significantly, enabling much improved customer service. Stronger preventative maintenance plans have been deployed, which have helped minimise the impact in the first quarter of 2024, when a key machining centre was taken offline. Overall, the improved maintenance plan has enabled an operational uptime increase of over 25%. Our teams are key to our growth plans. We have a comprehensive skills improvement programme delivering in-depth skills training and operational flexibility, as well as an active apprenticeship scheme to grow talent and support the business in the future. So that concludes the strategy slides. Next, I'd like to present our 2028 financial targets based on the strategy and growth opportunities in our target markets. These 6 targets demonstrate our ambition for growth over the next 3 to 4 years. We will deliver revenue greater than 30 million from organic growth. We will double high-value overseas defence revenue, increasing overall defence revenues by around 40%. We'll grow hydrogen sales to 30% of total revenue, and we will double integrity management revenue. In so doing, we'll maintain 30% of revenue from life cycle support services throughout the growth period, and will deliver an adjusted EBITDA margin greater than 15% before central costs. Having set out the targets for 2028, I'd like to turn to our outlook for this year. In 2025, we'll deliver significant revenue growth over 2024 from increased hydrogen business, and will return to adjusted EBITDA profitability. We have aligned the group structure to support CSC growth plans and reduced central costs to 0.9 million. We will deliver on UK and overseas defence projects, including the manufacture for the new US Navy contract. In the first half of the year, we expect to secure major hydrogen static storage and road trailer contracts, and our high-value integrity management services continue to go from strength to strength. Rebranding as Chesterfield Special Cylinders Holdings plc will proudly recognise our 125-year preeminent history and an exciting outlook. In summary, we have a simplified group structure and stronger balance sheet. The board remains focused on positioning the business in established and emerging markets to maximise shareholder value. 2025 will be a transformational year. We have clear ambition and targets for 2028, an exciting medium-term outlook across all 3 areas of our strategy.